Debbie Bell-Hosking for FinextraTV. I'm talking to Scott Mullins of AWS, and we're talking the cloud. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
We're talking cloud. I know it's a passion of yours, a passionate subject. In your opinion, what impact has the cloud had on the way banks are transforming?
I think the cloud is actually enabling banks to innovate at a much quicker pace than they've been able to in the past. And that's really important because today's consumers are actually demanding that innovation. They want much more enriched experiences, and they want to be able to interact with their financial life much like they interact with all aspects of their life, which is in a digital way. And so specifically, if you look here in the UK, you have fantastic examples of that coming to life with the challenger banks that have originated here. You can look at Starling, you can look at Oak North, you can look at Monzo, and now many of those organizations are beginning to expand their operations to the US and to other parts of the world. You can also look at what's happening with organizations like Goldman Sachs with Marcus, that's built on the cloud. We had Joe Hannaford, who's one of the partners in engineering at Goldman Sachs at one of our events last week, talking about the fact that they built that bank in 11 months from idea to production on the cloud on AWS. And so that example, as well as Santander with their open bank that they've launched recently, you're seeing more and more organizations turning to the cloud to be able to build new banks, new products and services.
So you talk about all this innovation. Do you think it will continue?
Not only do I think it will continue, it's going to accelerate. If you look at the example I gave you with Goldman and Marcus, they were able to bring a new product offering to life, a brand new bank in 11 months. And as you see more and more organizations making themselves available to these tools, which is the cloud, you're going to find that iteration and experimentation happens much more frequently because there's not the capital expense of having to buy hardware, rack and stack and power it and maintain that. If you have an idea, you can procure infrastructure from a cloud service provider like AWS very quickly. You can experiment with that idea. If that idea is fantastic, you can scale it and you can launch it to production. If the idea is so-so or it needs some work, you can actually give the infrastructure back, go back to the drawing board, work on the idea some more, and repeat that process infinitely. And that's going to enable innovation to accelerate. That's going to enable innovation to both broaden and deepen in the industry.
And what about open banking? How do you think that ties in to financial institutions turning to the cloud?
Well, I think open banking is now going from a compliance obligation, something that we have to do based on rules, to now business opportunity, so from obligation to opportunity. And I think as organizations look at the opportunity to actually provide much more enriched services to customers through open banking, it's going to be necessary to look at new technologies because legacy technologies are not going to be able to actually handle the demand from a standpoint of data storage and data analytics, as well as connectivity. And so I think cloud is going to be a huge enabler of open banking. You're already seeing that happen today. You have many organizations that have built open banking platforms to meet regulatory requirements. They've done that on AWS.
Scott, thank you so much for chatting to us. There's clearly so much going on and so much yet to expect, really. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.